Well, good morning. I don't really have a subject matter for this video today. It's been very quiet on the old inbox front, which is probably a good thing. But I thought to myself, I'll just make a general video about relationships, because spiritual healing and human learning, I guess, is all about relationships. You're in a relationship with everyone and everything all the time, and whether you're aware of it or not, you're teaching and learning all the time, and you teach and learn based on what it is you're about, what it is your goal in life is. If you haven't set a goal in life, if you haven't given yourself a code to live by, or some principles or things like that, or something that you want to personify, then your teaching and learning will be random and chaotic. Right? It'll seem to be a bit of this, a bit of that, jack of all trades. So, but eventually you get to the point where you realise internally, with your mental health and everything else, that you're tired of this chechi barechi in your head, And some people it doesn't bother them. Some people it keeps them awake at night, and some people it drives them to despair and depression and suicide and everything else. So relationships are learning tools, right? So on a spiritual path, or on a path of healing, which is the same thing, on a healing path, we set a goal as inner peace. Right, now we're not the Dalai Lama, and we're not the bloody Zen master. We're just everyday people going about our everyday jobs. But we are still completely capable of learning the principles of living and applying these principles to help us understand the nature of our lives, and to help us become better at communicating with those around us in a way that brings us peace, right? Rather than this back and forth mine and yours mentality that we seem to be educated with in our school system and in our homes and all that sort of thing. And there's no blame there. It's just a matter of that's just how it is in the world. You come here to experience duality. You come here to experience separation. And then at some point you realise that how crazy the world is. We'll blow each other up, and one army has to be bigger than another army, and which is the big picture of our own very small individual personal picture of just relationships. I'm going to be right about this and you're wrong about this. So we all like to have our 2 cents worth. It's only when you realise that 2 cents doesn't buy you anything these days that you're willing to just throw it away. That's not a bad analogy. So relationships are tools for learning that it's better to give than to receive, right? Yet giving and receiving are part and parcel of the path of healing, of the spiritual path. But what you're giving is your love. You're giving away your joy, your happiness. Right now, the old saying, or the old understanding, I guess, if you were to read Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech, we're afraid of our light. If you read A Course in Miracles, it says we're afraid to live. We ask for too little in life. We always put ourselves down. We dumb ourselves down to these beings that try to fit in. Now if you're trying to fit in with the lowest common denominator so you don't offend somebody, you're not going to set an example for those who are looking for a way out of their dumbed downness, right? It's like, be who you are, be yourself. Doesn't matter if your friends don't understand you. It doesn't matter if you're different from everybody else. Be yourself, because there's somebody out there who's desperately looking for that example, And you are desperately inside crying out to be yourself, crying out to stand up and say, hey, this is me. And when you do that, you subconsciously liberate everyone else from thinking they have to associate with you on the dumbed down level or on the lower vibrational level. It's like, I'm a child of God. So are you. I can't get it any higher than that. You know, there's nothing beyond that. We're all divine beings, you know, having an experience of the journey of the soul. We need to start to think of ourselves that way, right? We're just backpacking here. We're just traveling through. We just experience what it's like to be separate and to not to know ourselves, so we can come to know ourselves and understand the nature of the power of our mind, of the power of our decision. Right now, in the world, you're limited to the power that you're limited to is choice, right? But choice here affects everything. Choice here determines whether you take a leap of faith, take a chance, whether you believe in yourself, all that sort of stuff, or whether you play it safe. And I remember a dear friend of mine, Josie, once said to me that I had a bad case of poverty consciousness. I was unemployed for a fair while and had to quit my job because of my back, and eventually I did get a little job in an orchard and things like that, but for a while there I was unemployed and had no money, and she made me go and get a cell phone, which I didn't have, and go on a plan. And it's like from week to week I was on unemployment benefits, and I couldn't afford a plan. I had like $5 if I was lucky in my pocket at the end of the week. That's if I was lucky, after feeding myself, paying a bit of rent and everything else. But she made me get a phone plan to put me in, let's say, spiritual debt, so that I would take that leap of faith, that I would be supported. Right now, nature abhors a vacuum. If you have a need, it will be fulfilled. Just don't decide how you think that need will be fulfilled. Just be willing to say yes, wow, and thank you. Right? And then actually go and fulfill it. Right? So, and relationships are part of that. Everything's interconnected. Everything's part of yes, wow, and thank you. And when you learn that, or when you understand that, hey, I don't perceive my own best interests. I don't know why I came to this world. I don't know what the hell I'm really meant to be doing here. I just went and got a job and I'm paying bills like everyone else, but what's my highest purpose? Right? Highest purpose here is to know yourself, and if you're willing to engage in relationships in an open-hearted, open-minded way, without defending yourself, without trying to make anyone wrong so you can be right and all that sort of stuff, then you'll begin to get an insight into just how wonderful relationships can be, and just how powerful choice is in your life. Right now, to quote a biblical reference, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all else will come unto you. Right? That means to put first the priority of seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Now, God's creation is what you are. You are his kingdom. Seek ye first yourself. Find yourself first. Right? It's like when you're in an aeroplane and they do that demonstration and the little things pop from the roof, you know, and you put it on, they say, put your own one on first before you can help anybody else. It's no good if you pass out, you won't be able to help anyone. Right? Same thing exactly. You got to wake up first before you can help others to wake up. And whether you do that formally or informally doesn't really matter. So, relationships, you know, one of the greatest tools that you can learn about a relationship is that a relationship is your mirror. Right? Everything in the world outside you is a symbolic representation of your own state of mind. If I see suffering, then, well, hello, it's me that's suffering. If I see pain and death and everything like that, that's my ideas of pain and death. I wouldn't know what anything was unless I'd already given it a value, given it a meaning, and therefore am structuring my thought system on the meanings I've given everything. Why would I do that when I don't even know why the fuck I'm here, how I got here, and what I'm here truly to do? Just because everybody else learns to think in opposites and in duality, yin and yang, doesn't mean you have to. Right? Eventually that opposites and yin and yang will do your head in. You'll realise that everything's in a cycle going around and around again, and your lessons are repetitive until you learn them, and you'll get the shits with them. It's like, I'm tired of this way of thinking. I'm tired of living in a system of judgment. Judgment is literally debilitating, right? It's exhausting. Get around old mate here. And it wears you out. You know, it's like you go to sleep at night, you've done nothing all day, but you're exhausted, because in here, at, 3,000 thoughts a minute or something, they reckon that we have, those thoughts are constantly judging. Right, now inner peace does away with all of that, the yin and the yang. I don't want to be happy, I don't want to be sad, I just want to be. Just in the is. I want to be myself. Not a happy self or a sad self, just myself. Then if things comes along that makes me happy, that's great. If things come along that makes me sad, that's great too. Because I can use either one of those things to remind myself, if I'm vigilant for my state of mind here, that I don't want to be here or here, and again bring myself back, and again train my mind for what I truly want, inner peace. Right? And when you have inner peace, when you are just peaceful and just grateful for every opportunity as it shows up, for giving you that opportunity to bring yourself back here, if you're just grateful for everything, how can you not be happy? Right? But it's inner happiness, it's inner peace, it's inner contentment, inner joy. It's not happiness and peace and everything based on, oh, I'm in a rainforest, or based on, oh, I won the lotto, or based on any of those other factors that are temporary. Can you hear that? I feel like I want to get t-shirts printed with, can you hear that? And then stand in front of the mirror. It's funny because the path from singularity is, the path from duality is one from the idea of duality, that there's a me and a you, a two and us and all of that sort of thing, to the idea that there's just me as universal mind, just I as God awakening, or God mind awakening, Christ mind awakening, whatever you want to put that as, one mind waking up. So the idea that I would have to make these videos or do anything is really false. I'm just reminding myself in that sense, in the highest sense, of my purpose. And that's another thing for relationships. Every morning is to remind yourself of your purpose. Today, my purpose today is to be happy from within. Not happy because something went my way, or sad because something didn't go my way. You know, so every morning, 5 minutes just with your eyes closed, connect with the spirit within, through the Holy Spirit, through higher guide, through whatever you choose. It's always going to be a leap of faith. Right? You're not going to know whether you have a higher guide or a Holy Spirit until you actually mean it in your prayers when you ask for help. And then shit's going to happen. You'll start to see what you'll probably call synchronicity or something at first. It's not synchronicity. It's true help, true guidance. You'll notice things that you never noticed before. You'll become awake to what's actually going on in your experience of self here on the planet, on Earth. So, all right, well, relationships are learning tools, okay? You're learning to be more patient, more tolerant. You're learning to be more giving, more understanding, more forgiving. All these things we're learning as we true up from the yin and yang sort of dualistic perspective to this sense of self, which is strong, which is in control, right? Which is not a victim, which is not subject to depression, which is not subject to anxiety. All of these things are temporary stages that you will go through, in which you will heal within yourself as you transit from the dualistic thought system to the singular one. I am. I just want to see I am in everybody. I want to see myself in all living things. I want to see the truth beyond the illusion of bodies and stories and stuff like that. I want to see that divine being that's shining out from behind that crippled form, or from behind that suffering picture, right? Which is true empathy. True empathy sees the truth of all beings. True empathy sees beyond the illusion of separation, beyond the illusion or the illusion of duality, where there's a better and a worse, to the truth, right? So that the mind can be still and hear within what can be done in an action of listen, learn, and do. Right? When you join the spiritual path, when you begin your own healing, what you're actually embarking upon is a great crusade to be a part of something that has been going on for thousands and thousands of years in this realm, wherein you listen within for inner guidance. You learn how to perform that guidance and actually do it. Right? It's one thing to have a head full of spiritual concepts, but it's another thing to actually be able to use those concepts to help your fellow man and the planet and everything in general. And don't judge yourself for how that looks. I know people out there that are talking daily to thousands and thousands of people in auditoriums, and then I know there's people that just sit quietly and meditate at home, and that's what they feel like doing. You know, that's their inner direction. So listen, learn, and do is individual for everybody. For me right now, it looks like making this video, and hopefully somebody out there just heard that it's better to give than to receive, right? And to give without expecting something in return, just to give selflessly, just to give of the heart. So hello, cyclist convention on the bridge, flat tire. Yeah, so anyway, that's about it. Relationships are learning tools. Say that to yourself. Ready? Relationships are learning tools. Now go get yourself into a relationship with whoever shows up next, and connect in the heart. It's like, hi. You'll be amazed how much people will go, whoa, this person's right in my face. But everything's an opportunity. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right, I love you. Be happy. Have a great day. Be awesome. Give your love away. Just shine your light, and don't worry if it's not understood. Don't dumb yourself down because you think that people will think you're crazy. Fuck it. The whole world's crazy. Look at Donald fucking Trump. Leader of the free world. What a guy. You know, I love him. He's so passionate about whatever the hell he talks about. I have no clue. I love his passion. So, be cool.